I'm Jesse Thorn. Comedian Andy Kindler once called Zach Galifianakis the thinking man's Pauly Shore. Is because Zach has always been deeply committed to dumb jokes, but he always finds a way to make the dumbness his own. Galifianakis, obviously, these days well known as a movie star, the one-man wolf pack of the Hangover movies, among other films. He's also the man behind Between Two Ferns, the very uncomfortable talk show deconstruction that boasts among its past guests the president. He co-created and stars in the FX show Baskets. It's in the middle of its second season right now. Baskets is about a sad clown. And when I say a sad clown, I mean literally a sad clown named Chip Baskets, who fails out of French clown school because he doesn't speak French. He comes home to Bakersfield, and in this scene from the show, he's applying for the only clown job he can find at the rodeo.
It says here that you studied clowning at the Clown Français, Académie de Clown Français.
That's correct, at the Academy de Clown and Francois.
So, Chip Baskets? Oh, my God. What a name for a clown.
That's my real name. That's my...
No, your Basket's a clown now, Pally.
I have another clown name, and I prefer to go by that, if you don't mind.
Well, okay. Well, what's your clown name?
My clown name is Renoir.
What?
Renoir.
Can't have no clown here named Renoir. You're Baskets. Basket's a clown. You know how many of you clowns end up in a basket? That's the most perfect clown name I ever heard.
Great.
You're hired.
I am?
Sure. Don't take nothing to get hired around here other than walk in that door right there and tell me you're damn fool enough to want the job.
Thank you very much.
I don't pay enough.
Mm-hmm.
They all quit. You'll quit, too.
I'll take it.
Okay. Care for a cup of coffee before you leave?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
If I'm remembering correctly, that coffee cup is shaped like a toilet.
Jesse, take the high road. There's very little traffic on there. Yeah, he's drinking from a coffee mug in the shape of a toilet.
So, one of the things that you've always loved doing, and it's kind of an interesting thing to be really into for a guy who made his name as a stand-up comic who mostly sat behind a piano, is just big, stupid pratfalls.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you conceived of this clown character partly because you just wanted to do things where you like ran into stuff and fell.
I would have done that regardless of whatever character, because it's really fun to do. No, the rodeo clown aspect just kind of came as kind of a weird juxtaposition in my head of a guy that was bitter in his mind, and then where he had to, externally be happy for his work, made me laugh. But the physical comedy in it, it's just something that I'm kind of obsessed with right now is physical comedy, and it's not very popular anymore. I think that's why I wanted to do it.
Well, I think everybody wants to do a movie that has a lot of improvised punchlines, which means you have to have a lot of kind of setups, and you give a bunch of punchlines while you're in front of the camera, and you can't. It's very difficult to improvise a good fall because you have to not hurt yourself really badly.
My hips are they've been out of whack for a few months because of this show, and I don't do the heavy lifting. There's a gentleman named Hayden Dalton that does most of the heavy lifting, but sometimes for the camera, you just have to do it. But I'm too old. I'm too old to be doing it at my age.
The world is very cruel to Chip Baskets, the main character of Baskets. He isn't no peach himself. He's kind of a jerk to everyone around him, too.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like when you were putting together this show? Why did you think, I want to play a guy who's a jerk and also everything around him that happens is sad and awful? There's a lot of really good laughs on this show. Like, I want to be really clear about that when I'm saying that.
Right. No, I understand. And we made it hard on ourselves because you don't want to make him too milquetoast or whatever the word is, or TV funny. I mean, I always see these TV shows with very fast-talking people, and likable, edgy, if you will, and in a very watered-down version of life. There are people that are mean. Just go walk the streets. They're never represented. We're trying to represent people in this show that aren't represented on TV. They just aren't. Why can't we stretch out a little bit and at least explore these other avenues? Now, the problem with that, though, Jesse, is you kind of tend to write yourself into a corner. But I think
What's the corner that you write yourself into?
well, without redemption or without growth of a character, and if he's just mean, this is a serial structure, a serial narrative. So I want him to have growth. I want him to have redemption. I want him to struggle to find it. I want it to be awkward and clumsy and funny and insightful and heartbreaking, as life is. The way that we are also used to TV shows being, I just find so normal and regular and not very creative. And I'm not saying that we have accomplished that whatsoever. I think I'm certainly aware of the fact that certain people are turned off by this show because of its weird structure and what its aim is. But you can't just keep the character mean, is what I'm trying to say. To answer your question, yes, he is, but I'm hoping to explain why he is. And I think he kind of represents our culture as being kind of angry and mad, and that was a tinge of it too, in coming up with the character.
I mean, there's something to be said for a guy who, no matter what, genuinely believes in something. And it seems like Chip Baskett's pretense is sincere, not a pose, that he really wants to do something special, whether or not he has the ability or the context, either one.
I mean, all I can do is, yes, agree with that. I mean, I think it's a pretty grounded show emotionally. And given that Chip is kind of this, where we're catching him in a spot in his life where he is this kind of prickly guy, doesn't mean that he's going to stay there. We're just meeting him right now. People are complex. And he's not going to be one note like that, I don't think. I hope. I mean, I don't know what to do with him, to be honest. I mean, they picked it up for a second series, and it's like, oh, God, they did? I mean, didn't they see the show?
It's Bullseye. I'm Jesse Thorn. My guest, Zach Galifianakis, co-created and stars in the FX series Baskets. I talked to Zach last year. What do you see as the objective of the show?
I think the main thing was to try to do kind of a non-edgy show in a way that was kind of old-fashioned and innocent, that had some dramatic undertones, if you would, but interrupted with really surprising jokes that kind of come out of the blue that aren't expected. But it's a tricky thing to try to pull off, and even going into it, we knew it was hard. It's tricky, and the tone of it was everything. But I think Jonathan Kreisel, the director of it, got the tone that was in our heads. And also Andrew Bird did the music for it, and I think that also, he helped set the tone, through his whistling. He's such a good whistler. So I think we all were on board knowing what we wanted to do, but we also knew that it was a little bit risky to kind of roll out a show like this.
So I was thinking about the last time I interviewed you, which was actually quite a number of years ago now. It was something almost like 8 or 10, something like that. And it was before you became a movie star, and it made me think about how odd and surprising and amazing it was when you became a movie star. I mean, I don't think even when you got a starring role in a movie, anyone had the expectation, oh, this is going to be when Zach Galifianakis becomes a movie star from here on out. You know, like
Is
the
that your way?
Hangover.
Is that your way? That's your polite way of saying this will not last.
No, that's not. I couldn't have been more thrilled. I was like, wow, this guy I really like gets to star in movies. Like, this is fantastic. And I wonder what it was like for you. Like, I don't get the feeling that you know, doing The Hangover was part of a plan to become a movie star. I may be wrong. You know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what was it like for you when that movie became just a extravaganza whirlwind of, you know, show business power force?
Well, I wasn't good with it. The privacy thing is the thing that just bummed me out. But you know, I would talk to my mom about it. She was like, "Well, you know, be careful what you wish for, Zach." I'm like, "Well, I didn't. You know, I didn't. I mean, not that I didn't want success. No, I'm not saying that, but I never thought it was ever going to happen.
Right.
I never wanted to go, man. When this thing really breaks, you better be ready. I mean, never. It's not gonna happen. What was the mindset?
By the time you starred in The Hangover, you had a relatively big television show on VH1 that had not been a success. There was a lot of really funny stuff on it. It was artistic success, but had not been a success for you. And that was kind of in the past, and it looked like, great, I'm gonna be a successful stand-up comic, at least from the outside.
Well, that show tanked. And then I just went back to open mics because, well, show business doesn't owe you anything, you know, just because you keep working and you keep doing the initial, you know, that love that you have for performing. Yeah, I just started doing stand-up again after that tanked, and then I got lucky. You know, Todd Phillips, the Hangover director, saw me perform at a club, and then he kept seeing me perform, and I didn't know that. He was just kind of showing up and seeing, and then he asked me an audition. I did. But then when that happened, if you're not into that kind of world, that whole Hollywood scene, whatever that is, and it's not of any interest to you, and also you're older, and you kind of have more sense to you than be lost in that. It's a shallow existence, that kind of thing, I think. It can bum you out in a weird way. But no one cares, so it's great. You know, The Hangover was cast such a huge, wide net to a huge audience that kind of thing can be jarring to a person, I think.
Especially because your character in the movie is so big and silly and
Well, people
memorable.
think you are that.
Yeah.
So they will sit down with you at a table at a restaurant because they think the character would like it. That's also a weird element to deal with because if people are sending you drinks and, you know, thinking they're going to be part of the party scene, which they saw you in the movie. Well, I don't drink anymore, and I'm a pretty normal guy, so. But that stuff doesn't happen anymore. That hangover stuff doesn't. That craziness has died down. Is this NPR?
Yeah.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes.
Okay, so I was listening.
So far, I love this setup.
I was listening to an NPR station in the backdrop. I'm not going to tell what it is, but they had a film review on of their summer movies, whatever. And one of the movies they were speaking of, I happened to be on. Now, I am not one to run towards good praise, bad praise, but this guy was talking about a movie I was in. I was like, I'm going to listen to this one. It was on NPR. One of the critics says, after reviewing the movie, let's hope this is the end of Zach Galifianakis' career. Then, oh, by the way, hold on, Jesse, I'm not even telling you the important part. I'm wearing a T-shirt of the radio station that I donated money to, and they're insulting me while I'm wearing the shirt. The other critic says, I hope you're right. There you are. Here's my $500 donation. Please send me a T-shirt. Please insult me while I'm wearing it.
Zach, I'm really sorry that you had to find out this way
Was it you?
about how we feel about you and your career.
Public radio across the board is what you're saying.
Oh, there's an annual conference called the Public Radio Program Directors, PRPD, and we actually had a keynote that was, what do we do about the Zach Galifianakis problem?
Okay. Well, at least it was... Okay, good. So it's organized. Okay, good. All right. Well, yeah, that was gut-wrenching. Only because I was wearing the T-shirt. Had I not wearing the T-shirt, okay, no big deal.
You're listening to Bullseye. I'm Jesse Thorn. I'm talking to Zach Galifianakis. He stars in the FX show Baskets. The show's second season is now on FX. I talked to Zach last year. I want to play one more clip from Baskets. So my guest, Zach Galifianakis, plays both Chip Baskets and Chip's twin brother, Dale. And in this scene, Dale is helping their mom, who's played by the stand-up comic Louis Anderson, get ready for a family dinner. And they have two adopted twin brothers who are younger than them and are successful DJs. And they're going to be coming home. And so the mom wants everything to be perfect for their arrival.
Well, that's good. You got that. I got balloons, ribbons, glasses, plates. One more thing. We need a bigger table. See if you can get something at Rent-A-Room. You know, something in a chestnut, walnut, espresso. What's the black wood? Black walnut. Oh, that would be beautiful, black walnut.
I'm happy to help out, Mama, but why ain't the circus twerp out here doing anything?
Well, he's practicing. You can see that.
Well, Mama, your medulla oblongata must be squeaky clean because here's your brain so washed. It's a part of the brain.
Look, I watch your girls at the drop of a hat. And I don't know what your wife's telling them, but they don't like me.
Well, you can say what you want about my wife and I, but at least I gave you grandchildren.
Thank you, Dale. And don't forget to get something dark.
So, Zach, how do you manage the tone of you performing as your own twin brother with a Southern accent, a classic Bakersfield Southern accent, and the legendary stand-up comic Louis Anderson playing a woman without any notable elements of camp?
The idea of playing my twin brother was the director, Jonathan, wanted to be a part of the show, one of the characters. I wasn't 100% sure that was a good idea, but for the show it was good because Chip is very quiet, and I wanted to play him quiet, and it's just nice to have a kind of a verbose twin brother that's opposite of Chip, and kind of his nemesis in a weird way is a nice device in the show. And then the lack of camp as far as that character, and also with the Louis Anderson, is Louis is just hired as an actor. I mean, there was no, wouldn't it be neat if we had a guy play there was nothing. It was just, he popped in our minds because of the way he sounds, and it just seemed to make sense. And when we shot the pilot...
Did you know him personally?
Louis Anderson? No.
Yeah.
No, I just knew his work from The Feud.
Yeah, right.
So no, I've always liked Louis' stuff, and his, that presence in the show made sense to me. But when we shot the pilot, they put him in makeup and they overwomaned him, if you will, in a stereotypical way. That was not what we wanted to do. It was just like, he's an actor who happens to be playing a woman, and there should be no tongue-in-cheek anywhere, and that's just how we wanted to do it. It's an homage.
I interviewed a couple of years ago Rick Moranis. When he was roughly at the height of his Hollywood success, he lost his wife and just moved to the East Coast to be with his family. And, he worked once every other year or so on offers if they gave him $1 million just to keep, And I wonder, as somebody who became successful and immediately bought a farm in North Carolina, that has appealed to you? And if it does, what is the thing that you think, that has the power for you to keep you from doing that?
From
From just ghosting, just getting
is this
gone.
a request from NPR?
Yeah.
So they asked you to ask me through a question of if I could get out of the business, Jesse.
They didn't ask me to ask you that.
They.
It's literally a term in my
Oh
contract.
God, I'm so sorry. But to answer, and you can tell the jerks at NPR that the truthful answer is there's more to life than whatever you do for a living. There should be, and no matter what the profession is, unless you're married to your work, and that's lovely. But I have a friend that he says, "Whatever happened to that so and so?" I'm like, well, maybe they just realized that the business is hard to keep doing it, and as a kid, you dream of being in it, and then you get into it, and you're like, oh, there's elements of this that are difficult.
So what's the part that you love enough to keep you doing it?
I mean, it sounds really corny, but I think that connection with, from at least in stand-up, I don't think I could ever stop doing that. That connection with getting people to laugh. I know it sounds so base, but that, to me, I think if you broke it all down, I get a real kick out of that. I just do.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for coming back on the show. It was really nice to get to see you, and I've really been so happy about all the successes that you've had.
Thank you, Jesse.
Zach Galifianakis, he co-created and stars in the FX show Baskets. It airs Thursday nights at 10.